This is BBC
Now,
Five
do your
Live.
kids play Fortnite? Should it be banned? Well, according to Prince Harry, it should be. He also described video games and social media as being more addictive than drugs and alcohol. What do you think? 85058 is the text number. Elizabeth O'Shea is a parenting expert, coach and founder of Parent for Success. And also joining Elizabeth is the gaming journalist Andy Robertson, who runs YouTube channel Family Gamer TV and is a dad of 3. Andy and Elizabeth, hello.
Hello there, ni hao.
Oh, Elizabeth, should it be banned?
If you allow a child to go on it for a while and you set the restrictions as a parent, then it allows the child to learn to turn it off and get on with other things. But I think, Nihal, what you've already picked up is your son is addicted. The fact that he mentions it all the time, thinks about it all the time, talks about very little else, he's very much addicted, and that's the danger of Fortnite. It's such an addictive game. It's very hard for children to learn to come off. I would say up to an hour a day, maybe 2 hours at the weekend. But after that, you're really getting into dangerous territory because you are building patterns in your child's brain that are addictive and that it will rewire his brain.
Andy, I'm sure as a gaming journalist, you'd rather Fortnite wasn't banned on principle.
Yeah, I think we need to be a little bit careful how we're using this language of addiction. Addiction is a really severe thing. And if you look at the upcoming WHO criteria for that, I don't know any children who would meet that. And certainly we wouldn't sort of happily sort of joke about our kids being addicted to games because it's a really serious medical problem. But I really like what you've done in terms of creating a context where your child can play with you. And I think that's a much better perspective rather than just worrying about limiting or banning the screen per se, thinking about what is happening on the screen and understanding the quality of those experiences and having a parent there creating space to interpret it and to know when to stop is really healthy.
The best advice I've had since doing this show is from someone who said, Andy, that the best way to control your kids' gaming is to play with them.
Yeah, those conversations are very different, aren't they? If you understand games and maybe your child's asking to play a particular game, it's not just no or a limit. It's, or how, why do you want to play it? What are you going to get from it? Or how about a different game? So you start to play the sort of the parenting role in this area of your child's life like you do elsewhere. And I think that's the danger, is that parents can take a step back from games because they don't understand them in a way that they don't in other areas. And that's where games can seem to be this powerful monster, whereas in fact they're a completely normal part of childhood.
So do you think then that this idea that there is such a thing as video game addiction, do you think that's just the wrong terminology?
Yeah, so I think it's fine to use that language, but we need to be specific that that's a medical diagnosis. And if you look at the criteria, a gaming addiction is to play a game so much that other parts of your life are suffering, then you notice that that's happening and still you continue to do it and to pursue gaming even though maybe you're not going to school or not going to work. And then if you do that for 12 months, only then do you start hitting the criteria that says, OK, perhaps there's actually a medical addiction here that needs treating. And the danger is by grouping everybody into that, we stigmatise gaming and we don't get those people who are addicted the help they need, that tiny percentage of people who might have that proper addiction.
So as a parent, Andy, and someone who is a gaming journalist, how do you police gaming within your own home?
I look to find games that we can play together. I think that's a really helpful thing that you're already doing. But find a variety of games, though. I think there's some good work that parents can do to introduce different sorts of games to play. And equally, I know this is a difficult one, but keeping games consoles and games hardware downstairs in shared family spaces means that you naturally have a competition for that screen from other family members, so you have breaks, but also means that you actually understand what's going on. And like you were saying at the top of this segment about rewarding your child for schoolwork, but I think there's actually something to be said to recognising achievement in a video game space and praising that as well. My boy plays Rocket League. He's been working really hard to do that, and I've been able to sort of praise him for the progress he's made in that space, and I think that's a very valid thing to do.
There's a whole language around Fortnite, isn't there? Noobs and sweats and all of this. I'm sure you're aware of this lexicon. And it's quite interesting how, my son and I will have this kind of banter. Elizabeth, I mean, as a parenting expert coach, what is your attitude to gaming in the home then? Do you have games consoles in your home?
Well, we do. I have to say my children are grown up now.
I see.
So
Okay.
it's not an issue. But I have a lot of parents that come to me for private coaching, and many of them are saying that they struggle to get their children off, that they're children's personalities change when they're playing the games, that all the arguments they have in their homes are over games and playing the games and not coming off and not coming for meals. So I work with a lot of parents to help them regain control over their child's gaming use. And I understand what you said about it not being a medical addiction. God forbid that a child would be allowed to not go to school and be gaming for that length of time, that it would affect them for 12 months. What we're talking about is the early phases of addictive behaviour, and that can then lead to other types of addiction, because children get hooked on those dopamine hits that they get when they succeed in a game, or something happens that they're really pleased about, or they win.
Andy?
Yeah, I think it's worth making a distinction between the sort of level of dopamine you get from a video game and an actual addictive substance like alcohol or a drug. It's only a tenth of the kind of hit that you get. So I think, provided you're playing them in a balanced way in the home, and it's part of family life, so the games become rooted as part of what you do as a family together, and actually they become a really helpful way for children to learn and understand how to integrate digital experiences with physical ones, because in their digital future, that's going to be a really key skill and it will help them to thrive in that.
Thank you very much indeed, Elizabeth O'Shea, their parenting expert, coach and founder of Parent for Success, gaming journalist Andy Robertson, who runs a YouTube channel. Go check that out, Family Gamer TV.
This is BBC 5 Live.